Good evening, everyone. How you doing? My name is Lee Love. If you joined us a few minutes ago, I guess we had some kind of weird technical problem. Of course, they're all weird, right? But no idea why that was going on. It was working fine before, but what are you going to do? Anyway, again, if you're new here, my name is Lee Love, and this is Photo Mentor TV. This is on the first Tuesday of every month. I do photo reviews, and you guys submit your work, and I really appreciate it. I enjoy looking at the stuff you're doing. I enjoy giving your feedback and hopefully helping you become a better and more creative photographer, which is my goal. So thank you very much. Also want to mention that we have a private Facebook group if you're interested in learning more about that. I don't know if I have the URL here, but I believe it's photomentoracademy.com/Facebook, and that will let you apply to become a member. We'll check out your page, your Facebook page, and grant you access to the private Facebook group. So anyway, hopefully you guys will join us there and enjoy some of the stuff we're doing there. Tonight I have a really special announcement to make. I'm so excited about this. I really hope you guys are as well. It's something I call the art of seeing, and I'll show what it looks like. And this is it's very unique. It's something that's never been done before. And what I'm going to do first is just play a little bit of video. I think give you a little more sense of what's going on. And then I will come back and explain a little more to you. So I think this will make more sense.
Hi, my name is Mackenzie, and if you're as passionate about photography as I am, then I would love to have you join me on my journey as I try to establish myself in the competitive world of photography. You and I might even have some of the same struggles, such as the lack of experience and self-confidence. Sound familiar? Or my own insecurities and doubts that I'm not good enough. I hope you're not dealing with other photographers like JD who want to see me fail because I don't know all the techno-babble he does. In each episode, I share what I have learned about lighting, editing, and running a business. So who knows, we might be able to help each other? To find out more about me and to keep up with the challenges and yes, hopefully my success, then visit photomentorradio.com.
So anyway, what that's all about, if you didn't understand that is a new program that I have started. It's called Photo Mentor Radio course, and this particular program is called The Art of Seeing. And it follows a photographer named Mackenzie, who you met. And Mackenzie is a young photographer from Ohio, and she is starting her career. And so the cool thing about this, you're going to get to follow her through her journey, through the trials, tribulations, and the things that all of us have gone through. And it's going to be very interesting. I think you guys are going to love it. Everybody that I've shown this to in sneak peeks have just flipped out over it, and I think you guys will as well. It's very immersive, meaning it's really a combination of storytelling, which is really the cool part about it. And it's also very innovative in that it's the first program I know that it's not just a drama. See, it's not just a radio drama. It's actually full of education. So what I do is I take my experience and your experiences, frankly, the things you guys tell me. I don't use your name, of course. And I use those as part of my history of what's going on. And we use that to tell the story of Mackenzie and the people that she works with and the issues that she deals with in trying to start a career in photography. So I think you guys are really going to love this. Like I said, it's not just a storytelling. It's definitely full of experience and education. So it's the first system that I know of that uses education as well as entertainment as a way to educate you about photography. So I think you guys are really going to enjoy. I keep saying this, I apologize, but we're going to roll this out slowly by week. What's going to happen is the show will actually broadcast live on April 15th. I will do a live stream here on April 15th at 9 p.m. I'll be sending out more information about this, and we'll play the whole show. But then from then on, it'll be on demand. You'll be able to listen to it anytime you listen to a podcast, or on Apple or Google, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast app. It'll be a weekly show, and it's going to be really great. I can tell you already. The first episode has been pretty much almost written. Working on that right now, and I'll be I'll maybe sneak a few clips out and stuff later on, maybe next week, and you guys will be able to hear what's going on. So anyway, what I would love to hear from you guys is I would love to hear your stories and things. So in other words, what problems have you experienced? What things have you dealt with? Whether it be difficult customers, whether it be technical issues, whether it be creative issues. I want to know the things that you're hearing about. Did I say the 19th? I thought it was the 19th. Yes, April 19th. Did I give the wrong date, Sue Ann? I thought that's what I said. Yeah, April 19th is the date it'll be, that I'll be releasing the show here on YouTube. And again, it will be at 9 p.m. So anyway, so I hope you guys really, really enjoy them. I'm going to play it one more time because I think you guys are going to like this.
Hi, my name is Mackenzie, and if you're as passionate about photography as I am, then I would love to have you join me on my journey as I try to establish myself in the competitive world of photography. You and I might even have some of the same struggles, such as the lack of experience and self-confidence. Sound familiar? Or my own insecurities and doubts that I'm not good enough. I hope you're not dealing with other photographers like JD who want to see me fail because I don't know all the techno-babble he does. In each episode, I share what I have learned about lighting, editing, and running a business. So who knows, we might be able to help each other? To find out more about me and to keep up with the challenges and yes, hopefully my success, then visit photomentorradio.com.
So yes, if you go to photomentorradio.com, it'll take you to the Photo Mentor site, Photo Mentor Academy site, and there's a form on the top of the page that you can use to put your name and email address, and then we'll keep you updated on episodes, things that are going on when we release the show on the 19th. So anyway, thanks very much. I hope you guys enjoy this as much as we have had. Sue Ann and I have had putting this together, and what I'm telling you about right now is just the tip of the iceberg. There is so much more we're working on with this. I think you're going to really find it advantage to learning, experience, and also entertaining. So anyway, okay, so let's see what else we got. So one of the things that I get asked quite often is, how do I do these reviews once a month? And so I thought I'd kind of just briefly go over a couple of things and tell you what the base is. First of all, it's not about whether I like the image or not. It has nothing to do with that. I try to keep that out of it. Of course, if I like something, I can't help but share that with you. But it's not about whether I like it or not. It's also not about the technology or the tech of the image. Like I'm going to show you some images tonight. Could be improved on a little bit technically, and I'll mention those a little bit, but that's not the issue. And the reason I don't dwell on that, which most people do, is because I know it's just a matter of turning a dial to fix that. It's the easiest thing to fix in any image is the technical part. I know it's the part we all struggle with at first, but trust me, it's the composition and the telling a story and learning the 7 elements of art, which I use to talk about these images and review them. That's really the most important thing. So that's why I don't dwell too much on the technical aspects, because honestly, that is so easy to fix. You can go to auto. There are a lot of ways you can do that. So also. Now, one of the things I did last month, I want to do this again, if you don't mind. If you weren't here, I gave a little example of what I meant by visual language or visual storytelling. So let me kind of set this up for you. The concept is this, that we are visual storytellers. We're not photographers. Photography is just the medium we use, but really we're telling a story with every image. And the question you have to ask yourself is, what is that story? What am I trying to say? Now, if you don't understand the language, which again has a lot to do with this right here, lines, shape, form, space, texture, value, and color, if you don't understand these issues, then it's going to be very difficult for you to be able to articulate what you're trying to say. Again, just like this sentence right here. So this is a sentence that's made up of exactly the same words of another sentence I'm going to show you, but the words are in the wrong order. They're scrambled. In other words, it doesn't make sense, of course, if you read it. And this is what the original sentence is. Of course, it's the Gettysburg Address from the U.S. Senator or the U.S. President Lincoln. But if you don't know that and you don't understand how to form a sentence, you don't understand nouns and verbs and prepositions and all of those things, then you can't communicate, right? This is what your sentences are going to look like. But this is what it looks like when you know how to form a sentence and you know how to speak and use the language of the written language. It's the same thing with photography. If you don't understand the visual language, your work is never going to really connect with people. It may connect with a few of them, but it will not be as effective as an intentional. So that's just something I wanted to bring up again and remind you guys. It's very, very important to understand that. That's what I use when I look at your work and I try and give you input. That's what I'm looking for. What does the image say to me? What does it speak? What are you trying to say? And also, when you fill out the form, I ask you why did you shoot this image? What were you trying to say? Because that gives me some insight into what you were trying to communicate. So anyway, let's look at our first image here. And our first image is from OT. A lot of people, by the way, a lot of experienced people tonight. We've got a lot of images. And OT has been shooting for over 5 years. And that they do a lot of pet photography or are trying to get into doing more pet photography, specifically dogs. And the struggle that OT had in this particular image was they had to do some indoors, which is, common. But the main issue was they couldn't have the animal off leash. And so that meant that she was limited in what she could do in photographing, to use a slow shutter speed. A lot of her images were blurry, which is common, of course, when you have to use a slow shutter speed. And they have to turn the ISO up. But that's okay. This image here looks perfect. I don't understand technically what you would be concerned about. But the only feedback or the comment I would have about this image is really more about the composition. So I know you probably had a lot of much images that were much better, that were soft or whatever, and you couldn't use them. But this image is not as good an image as the other work that I've seen you turn in. So I know you know that, of course. But it doesn't look like a pet portrait. It looks more like a pet photo, like most of us would use to test a new lens or a camera that we all seem to do when we get new gear. First thing we do is aim it at our pet, and we get these looks like, really, you're gonna do this now? Anyway, so I understand the limitations. So contact me directly. I would love to give you some input on how you might have fixed this. So, for example, here's a couple things that just come to mind. I don't know the situation, but I'll just try and imagine what it would have been like. First of all, if I'm indoors, I don't have a lot of light, and they said they didn't have a flash, which is okay. Then windows. Okay, this is obviously window light. What about if you'd gotten the dog over by the window, tried to get him over by the window and use that light as your key light, as your light source? But the main thing is not so much the lighting in this photo. It is really expression. It's a beautiful dog. He just looks so sad in this particular photo, and I'm sure that the owner would have liked something a little more, that was reflective of how the dog really acts. So that meant, and this as well, OT, some squeaky toy, get the owner behind you, making some kind of noise, something to get the animal to perk up, get some kind of an expression that you can use. Again, this is no different than photographing a person, right? There's not smiling, of course, but it means that you want to try and get some kind of emotion out of the animal, so that it represents what the animal's really like. So anyway, hopefully that helps. I know it's not what you wanted to hear, but anyway, so but it's a nice, technically it's a nice sharp image. This is great, but the expression and the storytelling aspect is the part that you need to work on a little bit on this one. Okay. The next one is also from OT, and this one says that they were working there on their sports photography. And this is a really nice image that you've turned in here. I have watched your work now over at least a year or two, and they really do get better and better. I honestly, remember some of your earlier work, and this is definitely an improvement. Now, why is it an improvement? It's an improvement, number one, because you waited for that moment. You waited for that exact moment when you knew he was going to pull that bat back and swing, had that leg up. It shows that emotion. It shows that swing in motion. Got his eyes in there. So yes, this is a really nice image. And the only thing that's missing is probably the ball, right? But it's still a very good image, much better than the stuff again you shot a few years ago. So I know you're improving. And and don't worry. You said that you were afraid about you couldn't get too close. And the dugout, but if you get close to the fence, a lot of times you can take that fence out by it'll automatically blur out if you have a wide enough aperture. So this is a good image, nice composition, again, vertically. So good job on this one. One more. This one here was also by OT. They didn't give me any information on this one. I'm not sure what the situation is, but it's kind of an interesting photo, actually. I assume this is a relative or a friend, and the fact that they have a camera. It's I think it's one of the Fuji Instant cameras, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, and the fact they're standing on the rock too. That's kind of an interesting, barefoot. It has a little bit of a story to it. You might not have intended this. This might have been just what they wore, but the yellow and blue are really nice contrasting colors. It works. I think the photo works. It's not that much to it, but it still works, even though. It might be interesting to see what would happen if you were to crop that image. Let's see if I have that one here. I think I have it right here. Yeah. Let's see if I've got this set up right. Yeah. So it would be interesting to see what happens if you could. Oh, I see. My window's a little too. There we go. Let's try this here. So I wonder the way it works now is fine. It's definitely there. This would also be another option. Again, there's a lot of stuff going on in the photo. But if you, this way, it draws your attention directly to the subject, which is something I wanted to mention earlier and I forgot. Remember, and you guys have seen me do this before. It's all of what I call the hero. What's the most important thing in the photo? Where do you want people to look? That's something you should ask yourself over and over and over again. So first thing I do, I call it kind of squinting. It's not technically squinting, but if you were to kind of squint like this, what's the first thing your eye would see? That's what you want to have kind of happen when you're looking at a photo. And that is, you want the person to go directly to that. So that means cropping, dodging, burning, composition, whatever you're going to do, foreground, background, to be able to have the person, the viewer, drawn directly to that subject. That's the real important part. So anyway, hopefully that helps. Okay. Just looking at what our comments are here. Okay. All right. So the next one is not. It's this one is. Whoops, wrong one. This one is from PS. PS has also been shooting for about 5 years, and this is an interesting photo. I like this one. They were working. OT was working as a second shooter at a horse competition. What's called cutting horse competition. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that or not. I used to ride as a kid, and my dad was a roper and stuff, so I'm familiar with how this works. But basically, they're practicing cutting cows with a horse, and you know, being able to train the horse to be able to know where to go, that kind of a thing. And it's very difficult, especially this situation here. But this is a really interesting photo, PS. I think you did a good job on this one as well. The interesting part about it is a couple things. Number one, the depth in the photo. So by having the calf in the foreground, out of focus, a little soft, having the focus on the cowboy and the rider in the back, and then of course a little bit of background out of focus, not to be totally out of focus, it gives the image depth. And that's really, it creates layers in that photo, which is really something that's very important. It actually comes in here to the fourth item, which is called space. You're giving space to the photo by using these elements, and therefore it gives the photo much more dimension. It gives it a more three-dimensional look. And that's very, very important because remember, we're shooting on a two-dimensional format, okay, but we're trying to represent a three-dimensional world. And this allows you to do that. So this is done very, very well. And I applaud you for this photo. The only thing I would suggest on this, as I was looking at it, would be this here. Whoops, wrong one. Sorry. Would be this calf and the crop a little bit. So again, to help draw your eye to the subject more, this over here, I'd probably come over, maybe do something like that just a little bit. And that would make it a little stronger. You could even go even further if you wanted, but I think it works just the way it does right there. But you could do this as a vertical and even make it a slightly stronger image, I think. So like that right there. Again, there's no place to look, right? I'm looking right at the cowboy. That's it. And that's what you're trying to do. You want to make the cowboy the focus of the image. You don't want people to wander around looking at the other stuff in the background, the foreground, or anything like that. You want to know exactly what they're supposed to look at and where. And this does that. So that's one suggestion you might want to consider. Okay, this is another one, again from PS, same event, of course. Again, another nice image you've got here, good composition. I like the way the horizon line is. It's not exactly in the middle, but it's pretty close, but it still works. Let's see if I have this one over here. Yeah. And it's a shame that the calf's nose is a little cut off. It's not too bad. Probably be something that some people would complain about if you're in a judging or something like that. But very, very good image. Again, you can see the horizon line here at the bottom. You might even be able to go like something like this, and that might even make it a little stronger because now, again, the cowboy's face or close to it is right here in this center, the upper third, the bottom third, and the calf is over here. So anyway, it looks good. Good image though. Nice work on that. And I know you're having some fun on that. That'd be a cool shoot to do. I was doing a series at one time on cowboys and rodeos. Unfortunately, I never finished it. That's too bad because I really enjoyed. That's the kind of stuff I enjoy doing. Okay, and this is the last one of PS's photos. Again, good composition on this one. It works. If you look at the, you've got the cowboy over here on the right, and you've got this line of cows, and the cows are actually, one thing about it is the cows are actually at an angle. So again, white cow in the front goes right back the way you composed it. Got that cowboy on the right hand side, not in the center, not distracting. You kind of know exactly what's going on there. This is another good one as well. A lot of dust going on there, of course. But yeah, nice image on this one. So good job on all three of these. Terrific. Watch that cropping a little bit, maybe. But I appreciate you, by the way, sending me uncropped images, because then I can show people exactly what could be done to make it a little stronger. It's not a criticism of your photo, of course, and it's something you can do. So it's nice that they're uncropped, because then that way I can use that as a teaching tool. Okay. Let's see what else. We've got a bunch more here. Okay, so a couple more. So this is another one. This one's by HJ, and this is a kind of a cool photo. And the background said this is someplace at the rookery. I'm not sure what I guess it's a, and it's a mating pair of birds there on the right, of course. And she's named this one. I call this one, but Dad, I love him. Nature showing the humors. I think that's pretty sweet. I love how she's added that to it. So that pretty much sums it up too. It's a good quote. Anyway, good image on that one. Not much to report on that. Not much I can say on that one. Nice clear background, meaning blurry and not competing with the background with the subject. Looks good. So here's another one that's even stronger, I think. This is an interesting one. This one, HT said, was she was photographing flying birds, which is very difficult, by the way, and that's one of the struggles that she says she has. And it's let me give you a couple of hints on that. I don't know how you're set up to do it right now, HJ, but it's very much like shooting sports. It's the same problem, right? You have a moving object, you're trying to track it. I don't know how you set your camera up, but it's one of the things I learned in shooting professional sports was to use back button focus. And I think you probably do this. If I know you've been shooting long enough, you probably understand this. Back button focus is where the camera, you put the camera on auto, or not auto, but on what's called, on a Canon it'd be called servo. On a Nikon it would be called, gosh, I can't think what it's called. That's awful. Anyway, the point is, well, as long as you have the shutter button down, it's always focusing. It's constantly focusing. So what you do is you change the assignment of the focusing to the back of the camera, not the shutter button. So as long as you have your thumb over that back button, the camera's always focusing. And what you want to do is then you can shoot. So you have your front finger on the shutter, you have your back finger on that focusing. It's always constantly hunting. I like to use single point focus. On this, maybe you could use somewhat of a grid, maybe 9 focus points or 5. So you don't need too many, because then it may grab the background. But what happens is you have that back button focus, and it's constantly focusing. So as long as you have that thing focusing, you're shooting, and it's going to constantly keep acquiring focus. And that's why you do set that up. Again, very common on sports photography. And once I learned that many years ago, I never went back to doing anything else, even for portraits. I will take that, aim it at their eye, hold the thumb down, focus. As soon as you let up the thumb, it stops focusing, by the way. So now I can recompose. The camera's still going to be focused on the eye, and now I can shoot. So back button focus. I should do a video on that and demonstrate it, because I know a lot of people are interested in that. So anyway, good job on that one as well. Really interesting. So the story on this, and I don't think I mentioned it, is so they saw this this kestrel landing on a fence post with his dinner. Saw him head into the grass, I think it was, dive into the tall grass, come out with probably some kind of mouse or something, and then look there to see if HJ was going to take it from her. I guess is what she's doing. But anyway, nice photo. Good image on that one there. Be curious to see if how much you have near the bottom though. If there's any more of the post you could have used as a leading line to draw the subject up to the bird. But anyway, good one. So, okay, so this is an interesting one. This one here is was submitted by GM, and GM, I happen to know this person. They're a professional videographer, actually, very talented, and also been doing photography now for a while, and also does a great job in that. But they are starting to explore and experiment with what they called intentional camera movement. In other words, blur. And I think this is a flame, probably from a fireplace or something like that, campfire maybe. And so what they're doing, of course, they're shooting a slow shutter speed and then they're moving the camera. And I think it's just beautiful. The images, of course, at the bottom, or the colors at the bottom mixed with the colors at the top really make it work. Again, it's that color and values issue, and also texture is something that this image here shows a lot of. But it's just it's, you know, I would consider this a fine art piece, of course, but it's very creative. And of course, the fact that the way, you know, you can't, just because it's called fine art doesn't mean it's going to be good, right? So you still have to use lines. And again, that's what's going on here. These lines, these wavy lines, are drawing you from the from the right of the image over to the left part of the image, which is the flame, of course, which is the brightest part, which your eye is drawn to. Also, the fact that they're using what I would call values. Values has light to dark ratios, of course, and that is done by, if you notice, the right-hand side's darker compared to the left side. So what happens is the human eye is drawn to the brightest part of the image first, and then so by using that dark side of the image on the right, it draws your eye directly to the left. So it's very nice. Instead of it, if it was all real bright and all the center part of the flame, it wouldn't be nearly as compelling. So GM, nice job on this one, buddy. Good job. I like it. So I'd love to see some more of this kind of work. So keep it up. Somebody else in the group. Who else was? Gosh, gone blank. Was doing some of this work. I can't. It's Judy's friend. I'm gone blank here. I can't believe I can't think of her name. This is awful. I'm embarrassed. Oh well. I'll remember it by the time the show's over. Just so you know. So anyway. All right. Let's see what else we got. So this next one. This is kind of a cool photo. This one here is. This was submitted by JL, and this was a trip they did in Alaska, which would be, of course, you know, an amazing trip. But they felt this was a tender moment of wildlife, showing emotions to the mom and the cub. And of course, it definitely does. There's no doubt about it. I mean, there's so much you could read into this, but it's a great photo nonetheless. The expression is terrific. I would love to see. This is a good example of where. Again, it's that hero. What's the most important thing in the frame? And of course, it's the bears, but it's also the emotion of the bears. So what could be done on this one right here, again, the bear is cool, but this part is not as interesting as this right here. I think the picture could have also just been something like this, and probably still told the whole story. In fact, a little more to the right. But yeah, because now it's all now you know exactly where to look, right? You're looking directly at that bear cub, looking at their eyes. It's telling you, uh-oh, I'm in trouble, Mom, aren't I? Yep, you sure are, son. And so this is one of the reasons I'm talking about this hero. Keep that in mind when you're looking at your stuff and you're cropping or in camera or shooting, so that you can remember, this here is interesting, but it's not as important as the part over here, the emotion of the cub. So if you'd have panned right a little bit and zoomed in if you could have, or just shot a tighter image of that face, that would have been a really awesome photo. So anyway, cool, nice. But thank you, JL, for submitting that. I appreciate it. Hope you're doing okay there, buddy. Okay. The next one was submitted by MD. MD's also been shooting quite a while, and they struggle with lighting, which who doesn't, right? We all do. But lighting is my favorite subject. I enjoy it. It's the whole thing. In fact, Sue Ann, I was looking for that quote. I couldn't find it last, but Sue Ann asked me what my favorite quote was on lighting, and it was the one by Eastman. And George Eastman's, and it was the one about that lighting is so important, and it talks about why without light there really is no photography. But another quote for this week is this one right here, which just goes hand in hand with what we're talking about, by the way. This one's one by Arnold Newman, who is a portrait photographer, another person that influenced me. And his quote is, "A lot of photographers think that if they have to buy a better camera, they'll be able to take better photographs." Heard that before, maybe by me? "A better camera won't do anything for you if you don't have anything in your head or in your heart." Meaning that it's all about the story, right? It's all about what you're trying to tell. And I talk about this a lot to you guys. And if you listen to, if you've started to follow my series called Photo Mentor Minutes, which is a short 5 to 10 minute video on different topics, one thing I talk about is the cameras and whether gear will help you. And one of the things I mention in there is I had the opportunity to shoot with a Leica medium format camera. Leica loaned me a what's called an S007 medium format camera. I think the camera itself is about 20 grand, $19,999. And then a zoom lens, which I think is a 30 or 35 to 90, if I'm not mistaken. The lens was $12,000. So I'm shooting with what, $30,000 for over $30,000 worth of equipment. And here's was my experience. Beautiful camera, gorgeous lenses, sharp, loved it, really nice system. Guess what? My pictures didn't improve. They looked nice, the color, everything was great, but that wasn't what made the picture. My pictures still suck. And I've done that before many, many times where I've had, and I know many of you have as well, I got to have this lens. I got to have that 105 macro. It's just a beautiful lens. It's going to change everything. And you get it, and you start shooting with it. And I'm not saying don't do that, because it's a terrific lens, but you start shooting and you realize, uh-oh, guess what? My work still sucks. It's not improving. Sharpness, yes. Color, yes. Maybe contrast, yes. But if you don't have what's behind it, if you don't have the storytelling, if you don't have the composition, and you don't have understanding these 7 elements of design and why you're shooting the picture to begin with, it doesn't matter what camera you're using. So anyway, that's just my rant about that. So anyway, MD says there was not a lot of background on this, just that it's a concert, a live concert they shot. And it just so happens I actually used to do a lot of live concerts and for a lot of different groups, and I learned it's a very difficult thing to do, mainly because the lighting is so poor. It looks like there's a lot of lighting, but there's not. And so there's a couple of techniques I should, again, probably demonstrate for you guys sometime on camera holding techniques that allow you to shoot down to about 30th or 15th of a second and still get pretty decent images. Anyway, so this image is the first one of 3 they submitted. It's a little blown out, of course. Technically, I was saying about that. So you could probably bring the highlights down on that or watch your exposure. It's a very common problem in concert photography. It's the same thing. I always have this problem. And here's the issue. The light meter is looking at this scene, right? It sees a lot of dark background. It sees a lot of bright spotlight. So what happens is it tends to underexpose the subject. So you have to compensate for that, which may be what they did here. But they went too far because now there's no detail in the shirt, and you want to have that. So, and you've got also a tough situation where you have a dark-skinned individual, a dark background, and a lot of light. And so that light, what's called lighting ratio problem exists there. So one way to try and solve this, or one thing you might try, MD, next time is go to spot metering. If you go to spot metering, there's generally cameras have two kinds of spot metering. Spot metering and weighted metering. The spot metering is a narrower, maybe a 1 degree or 5 degree at least, kind of metering. So it means it's this little tiny dot, and that's all it's going to look at for lighting. Then the weighted is a little bit larger, and then of course the averaging, which is the one that most cameras have, most people use. But if you take that spot or weighted meter and you aim that at the face and meter on the face, which is the thing you're most interested in, then, and use that light meter setting, then you're going to be in good shape. And that way, you'll get a much better exposure. You generally won't have this overexposure on the white outfit, but it's just a tough situation all the way around. But anyway, pose-wise, composition-wise, it's hard. The problem I have with light and concert photography is they all start looking the same after a while. I mean, how many times can you get a picture of a guy with a microphone going, not much. It's all the same. Or some guy with a guitar or something. And of course, the drummer's the hardest part to shoot because they're hidden in the back. Which is one of the more interesting subjects. So anyway, point is, you need to work on your composition a little bit. This one's a little too loose as well. Let's see if I have this one here. Yeah, here we go. So on this one, you might be able to improve it a little bit you still want to show it's a concert, of course. You don't want to negate all of that stuff, but something like this might help a little bit. I don't know. Might make it a little stronger. You don't want to cut off her hand, of course. You could also, I don't know if I can, let's see if I can, I think what's going to happen here is when you bring the highlights down, it starts to happen. It gets gray looking. See? So it's a little better, but not much. But you could also darken that background a little bit, and that also makes the subject stay. So that's the tough part. So it's a little bit of a technical issue on this one. I'm sorry. Like, again, I said I don't generally like to talk about that kind of stuff because it's easy enough to fix. But it's also a composition issue on this one. This one here is the same thing. Again, is it vertical? Is it horizontal? I'm not sure. It might have been interesting to shoot this one horizontal and include something to the right. But again, it's you've got a hard subject to photograph. You've got a light wardrobe and a dark background, and it sometimes messes up the light meter. I don't know if they were shooting on manual or not on this one. And then the last one is a little better, still a little overexposed, but not as much. Again, very interesting subject matter. This one you could have, again, who's the hero, right? What's the hero of the shot? And that could have been something maybe a little bit like, don't want to get rid of too much of it because you got the hands in there. You kind of want to keep that. So this one here might work. You might have been able to go a little tighter. I don't know. But it's, again, watch that exposure. But I think right about there would have been it. Probably wouldn't go any further than that. You can darken the background a little bit to kind of get rid of this but it's okay. It doesn't bother me. Anyway, so yeah, send me some more of those. I'd love to see some more of those. And if you want to send them offline, or meaning without doing it during the show directly, and ask me some questions, show me some settings, I might be able to help you with that as well. Okay. Let's see what else we got. Oh, I want to remind you guys about the frames. And I'm just, I know you guys are like me, and a lot of people, you post a lot of stuff on Instagram and on social media. And if that's the case, I want to show you.
Let me guess. You post photo after photo on social media, but you hear nothing but crickets. With millions of photos being posted daily on social media, it can be tough to make even the best images stand out. This is why Photo Mentor created over 40 custom graphic frames that quickly transform your ordinary photos into extraordinary ones. These frames are free and include portrait, landscape, and square designs to match any style. They're super easy to use and will add a professional touch to your images in no time. Whether a beginner or a pro, these frames will elevate your work and make you stand out from the crowd. Don't settle for posting ordinary-looking photos. Download these custom Photo Mentor frames and display your photos as pieces of art. Visit photomentoracademy.com/frames to download your free Photo Mentor frames.
You know, it helps if you turn your mic on. I have this big giant sign in front of me that says on air, but if you don't do that, you're never going to know that. Anyway, let me repeat what I just said. The fact is, I was talking about the frames. I hope the frames, those are nice. I hope you use those things, download them, and to your heart's content. But what I wanted to, the thing I wanted to mention to you was why subscribe to the channel. And that was what I was trying to tell you when I forgot to turn my mic back on. And the reason you want to subscribe is because it helps us. Tells YouTube that, hey, there's interest here, and it helps ranks us, helps show more people. And it also shows me and Sue Ann and the other people in the group here that there's interest. So I appreciate if you would do that. No sweat off of your brow for doing that. The other thing is steps. If you guys are interested in learning more about Photo Mentor, about what I'm doing, about what I'm teaching, there's a course I've developed called Steps. Go to photomentoracademy.com/steps. You can learn a lot of information, basically why I'm talking to people about why they may not be improving. So anyway, so check that out. And finally, I just want to remind you again, 9 o'clock on the 19th, April 19th, live, we'll be showing the or letting you listen to the first installment, the first episode of The Art of Seeing. And I think you guys are really going to like this stuff. We're working real hard on it, and so I think you're going to find it very interesting, very entertaining, and also very educational, because that was my goal here. You know, I work really hard to try and make these things all about you guys, and that's what this is doing here. It's trying to help find new ways to help you learn and become a better and more creative photographer. So I'm going to play Mackenzie one more time, and then we're going to close the show. So thank you very much. You enjoyed it, and hopefully we'll see you back here next month. And again, hopefully we'll see you on the 19th.
As passionate about photography as I am, then I would love to have you join me on my journey as I try to establish myself in the competitive world of photography. You and I might even have some of the same struggles, such as the lack of experience and self-confidence. Sound familiar? Or my own insecurities and doubts that I'm not good enough. I hope you're not dealing with other photographers like JD who want to see me fail because I don't know all the techno-babble he does. In each episode, I share what I have learned about lighting, editing, and running a business. So who knows? We might be able to help each other. To find out more about me and to keep up with the challenges and yes, hopefully my success, then visit photomentorradio.com.